Good evening. This is the Board of Education meeting for which adequate notice under the Open Public Meetings Act was provided by written notice on January 3rd, 2019 to the Courier News, the Echo Sentinel, the Star Ledger, Tappan to Warren, and the clerks of the Borough of Watchung and the townships of Greenbrook, Long Hill, and Warren. We have a roll call, Mr. Size.
Ms. Barone?
Here.
Mr. Mizio?
Here.
Mr. Fahey? Mr. Hayek?
Here.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Here.
Mr. Martins?
Here.
Mr. Morrison? Mrs. Ober?
Here.
Dr. Shabilsky? And Mr. Fallon.
Yes. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll now entertain a motion in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Be it hereby resolved that the board move into executive session to discuss confidential personnel matters, WHREA negotiations, superintendent merit goals, and a special education legal settlement, after which action will be taken. It is expected that the matters discussed in executive session will be made public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. We're back. Dr. Jewett.
Yes, am I first on here?
Oh, actually, before that, board correspondence, I did want to tell you that I got an email from the clerk of the Township of Warren explaining to me some difficulty they're having with the polling places for Warren and indicating she's trying to get it resolved, but doesn't know whether she'll have it resolved by September 24th, which is the date for our election. Mr. Stiles is going to contact the county election board to see what, if anything, can be done about that, and we'll have further conversations with the nice people down in Warren about having the election on the 24th of September.
Thank you, Mr. Fallon. We've had a very active summer here, as we always do in the high school. Our extended school year program has been running since the Monday after graduation. Carl Bird is overseeing the program this year, and he's doing a great job with the programming and with the students. I believe he was Crocodile Dundee the other day when he took them to the Great Swamp. It was great. The kids got a really good kick out of him, and they had a great day. We also have, the main project we have going on this summer are the gym 7-8 locker rooms, which are progressing on schedule. They look really, I was saying they actually look better halfway done than they did prior to when we tore them apart. They're really coming along very nicely. And today, speaking of the referendum, Ms. Scheiderman, Mr. Stiles, Mrs. Phelan, Mr. Alexis, Mr. Keel, our media specialist, and I, along with representatives from our architectural firm, visited 3 schools who've recently redone their media centers. We went to Hazlitt, Point Pleasant Beach, and Princeton. And it was really nice to see. Each of them had a little bit of a different take on it. None of them have the space that we have. So we are going to really be able to do some very nice things. But it was great to see the way they utilized the space, the way they had set up the furniture, how they had technology integrated, the rooms they had for virtual reality, for their TV production, the glass-walled classrooms, which was something each of them had. And their administrators gave us a tour. So it was a really, really productive day. So it's always fun to go and see other schools too and see, what they look like. And they did show us some of their other rooms. One of them had recently done a STEAM lab, so we got to see that as well because that's something we've been talking about. So that was a really, really productive day. So more to come on the referendum. We will be reaching out to the town councils about going to present at upcoming meetings in August and September prior to hopefully the September vote. I will also be sending out my summer newsletter that will have information on it, and we'll be posting other information on our website for the public. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I don't have any comments today, so Mr. Stiles?
Thank you, Mr. Fallon. I have just 2 things. I put in your packets, I don't know if you saw it, I did get a letter from Senator Kane about the 2 bills that the board opposed or voted in opposition, or had resolutions asking for them to vote in opposition. That's the 296, S296, and 3089. That's the arbitration bill and the subcontracting bill. And Senator Kane said if the bill comes our way, he will vote no, which was good. I did reach out to the Assembly office. The two Assembly offices, they did not return my call. And then the second thing is, in the school board notes, I wanted you to see, I kind of starred a couple of things. One is that in the budget that they passed, which I was surprised, honestly. I didn't think the state was going to pass the budget. I thought there was enough fighting there that they wouldn't get it through. But one of the pieces in the legislature that they didn't raise the tax, the millionaire tax, but they did have a tax, or they're talking about a tax on health insurance companies. Don't know much about it. Did reach out to Jim Finn. He doesn't think that's going to impact us, but just so you know, that's part of the legislation. So I don't, that's something we should keep an eye on. And they also talked about, the other little piece that I circled was that with the budget, they have some money allocated for school choice aid. Just to be aware of it, that it's out there, that's all. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Operations Committee, is this, Tim, the meeting we just had?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You want me to do that?
If you don't mind.
I wouldn't mind at all. So basically what we talked about at the meeting was, we spent most of our time talking about the referendum project. We did get some flyers that we'll share with the board, that we got that from our architect. We did get a frequently asked question item that we're going to review a little more, and then we're going to share it with the board. We talked about the trips that we made today and what we had seen, and Dr. Jewett explained it perfectly. The three schools are smaller than, the spaces are much smaller than what we have here. But with what they had, they did an awful lot. And there's a lot of things, a lot of spaces, dead spaces, that they now are utilizing in different capacities, that was exciting. And you look around this room, you can see there are spaces that we could use a little better for the students. There's a lot of different things we could do for them. So that was a lot of the conversation. My paper out. And we also talked about, the construction update, which Dr. Jewett already beat me to on the locker room.
I'm always doing Tim's job for him.
Yeah. I mean, the project's going well so far. We have a little hiccup that came up today. We're learning a little more about it, but it has to do with the chiller pumps. And we just have to see if they're sized properly. But that's the only issue at this point. Everything else has gone well. And we'll kind of keep the board updated on those things as they come along. One of the things that's interesting in the trip to Point Pleasant today, they air-conditioned recently their main gym. And the superintendent did speak about how important that was for them. He said that, as I think his words were, that's one of the best things we ever did. Because the gym's used so much, and it gets so hot. Like, today's a perfect day for that, right? But it seemed to work out well for them, and it was comfortable in there, I will tell you that. We also talked about the main office carpeting, something that we were looking at this year. We did not have it in the budget. We were asking the committee, and I'm talking about the principal's office. It is worn, and the committee decided we're going to take a look at it as a group, and if it looks bad enough, we'll try to get, transfer money to do the project. If not, it'll wait. And then we talked briefly about some items in student activities that occurred this year, with being short and paying a few things that the board covered. And we're just going to train the staff a little better to make sure that when they budget things, that they don't come up short. But it's not really a big item. It was very small, very minor. And then the referendum was most of the talk. On the board agenda tonight, I don't know if you've seen it. Hope you have. We do have the question. So the board's voting on the actual question. And essentially, it just kind of lays out what we're doing. The two projects, the Media Center project and the electrical project. And that's for the September election that Mr. Fallon was talking about, that we're going to have to iron out those issues for Warren. But that was essentially it.
And I'll just add, in terms of the main office, I'd invite all of you to go take a look at the carpeting at some point, because what we talked about at the operations committee is that the members of the operations committee would take a look at it and then decide whether or not to recommend to the rest of the board that we replace the carpeting. But that'll come back to a decision. So everybody ought to go take a look at it and see whether that's where they think we should spend some money. Thank you, Mr. Spies. We are now at the first opportunity for public comment. We have two members of the media here, no other members of the public, and I'm assuming that if they tell me otherwise, that members of the media can come up and make public comment. But seeing no one else, I'm going once, twice, three times, I will now close the first opportunity for public comment. Board discussion. I had tried to get everybody to respond to dates for the professional development that Brian Thornton is willing to put on. I still have not gotten everybody's responses, so I'm going to come up with some new dates, and then I'm going to hockey about them, and then I'm going to see if I can get Beth or somebody in the office to help me hockey all to get dates so we can get that done.
We're good at harassing board members.
Any other board discussion? Any board discussion of the addendum items on tonight's agenda?
We actually, because we didn't have a work session this month, we don't actually have addendum items. Yeah, that should actually not
So
be
we do
on.
have the walk-in.
Yes.
So we can go ahead and start moving action items and discuss them as the need arises. Bob's not here. Somebody,
I'd like to move from A1 through 11.
Second.
thank you. Is there any discussion on agenda resolutions A1 through A11? Mr. Stiles, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Mr. Vizio?
Abstain on A1 and A2, and yes to the rest.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayek?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
Mr. Martins?
Yes.
Mrs. Ober?
Yes.
And Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Okay, motion's carried.
I move A12 through A16.
Does somebody want a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on resolutions A12 through A16? Could we have a roll call vote, Mr. Stiles?
Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Mr. Vizio?
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayek?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Ober?
Yes.
And Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
I move C1 through C40.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on personnel resolutions C1 through C40? We have a roll call vote, Mr. Stiles?
Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Mr. Mizio?
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayek?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
Mr. Martins?
Yes.
Mrs. Ober?
Yes.
And Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Did Mr. Martins?
He can vote on those.
Okay. Yeah, oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
think-
was thinking that
The opposite.
I was in the wrong one. Hold on.
I think the 16
Okay, so
can't.
I'd like to move D1 through D16.
Second.
Can you just tell me D9, so what do we rebid that?
I'm sorry?
Yes,
D9, do we have to rebid it?
Yeah, we do.
did that.
Do I have that in there?
Yes.
You don't have it that it's
We have to
being
reject.
rebid, you just have that we
Reject.
can't
Rejecting
accept
it.
the bid.
You know what? I'm glad you picked that up, because I do have to add that in there.
Do we need a motion?
No, you have resolved, the Board of Education rejects the breezeway and signage upgrades being publicly open on July
Rejects it,
2nd.
right.
Yeah, but then I'd
He's
like
saying
to
it's to-
further,
reissue
that the
it.
board
Who will we
authorizes
authorize us to rebid it?
to rebid the project.
Okay, so.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Added resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the rebidding.
So moved.
Yeah, thanks for picking it up.
Second.
All in favor of that amendment to the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And then 10, is essentially our big proposal.
Yeah.
Correct, that's
Just
the
says,
question.
okay.
Any further discussion of D1 through D16? We have a roll call vote, Mr. Spies?
Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Ms. Demizio?
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayek?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
Mr. Martins?
Yes.
Mrs. Ober?
Yes.
And Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'll move D17 through, I'll move D17, D18, and D19.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of resolutions D16, D17, 18, and 19? We have a roll call vote, Mr. Spies?
Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Ms. Demizio?
Yes.
Fahey?
Yes.
Mr. Hayek?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Ober?
Yes.
And Mr. Fallon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
We now have a second opportunity for public comment. Seeing none, I will now close the second opportunity for public comment. Other business, I want to thank the members of the Board of Education who have submitted their superintendent's evaluations. We're still short a couple of people. You know who you are, so please get them in the next few days.
I did.
Uh,
You get mine?
We have yours, Barry. Yeah.
Never know, I thought I did.
I know, teacher always like, I submitted it, did it go, did it go?
It got to where it needed to get.
Don't we have to approve it?
No, no.
Oh.
Nope. No same.
Any other business?
Nope.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.